Hey guys, I'm Gary with AGS Off-Road, and today I'm going to show you how to install the Bronco Airgate Kit and the Filter Relocation Kit. First step is disassembly. To start, we're going to remove your spare tire. Then we're going to move on to the interior. Next step is removing these two interior panels. Using your plastic trim removal tool, stick it in the bottom of this one and pull towards you to release the clips. And repeat the same thing on the left side of this one. Next, follow this harness and disconnect these two plugs. Squeeze the tabs on the grommet and push it to the outside of the tailgate. Now that your wiring is disconnected, next step is to remove the spare tire carrier. Using your 13mm socket, remove all 8 bolts. Now that all the bolts are removed, you can take the whole assembly and remove it from the tailgate. Next step is removing both pressure relief vents. To remove the pressure relief vent, we use a thin tool and stick it between the vent and the tailgate and release it using 3 tabs. Stick your fingers through the flaps and apply pressure towards you. Insert your tool. First tab is located here. Press down and maintain pressure towards you until all 3 are released. The bottom one, you reach in and release the tabs with your fingers. With everything disassembled, now's a good time to route your wiring. You can choose to extend the harness that comes with your ARB compressor, or you can purchase a pre-made extension harness such as this one from another vendor. The wires that need to be extended are from this connector. The 2 red ones have a fuse on the end that will need to be removed and installed as close to the battery as possible. You will also need to extend the purple wire from this harness to the upfitter switches on your Bronco. The wires go through this hole here, up through this hole, along the factory harness, through the factory wire loom to behind this panel, down and across here, through the door sill plates, and through a grommet in the firewall to your battery. After those are run, this panel can be reinstalled. For a clean finish look. You will need to leave about 20 inches of harness exposed. Now, depending on the method you choose to run your wiring, you may need to de-pin these connectors to get them through the tailgate pass-through. To do that, remove the plastic piece on the bottom, and using a small flat tool, insert them into this hole, push down on the tool, push up on the wire, and pull it down. And repeat with all of the pins. The small connector works the same way. After you get it through the pass-through, these push back in, make sure they're lined up, and pull on it to make sure it is seated fully. Next, I'll show you how to prepare your tailgate pass-through for installation. This pre-production model is pre-drilled, but yours will come with no holes in it. First, you will need to drill a 1-inch hole in the center to accept the cord grip. If you chose to purchase the Filter Relocation Kit, you will need to drill 13/16 holes on both sides. Take your bulkhead fittings that come with the Filter Relocation Kit and install them from the backside into each hole. Install the seal and the nut. And repeat for the other side. Tighten these fittings using a 1-inch wrench and a 1 1/8 inch socket. Next, we're going to install the filters that come with your ARB Twin Compressor onto the back side of the bulkhead fittings. These only need to be hand tight. Next, we'll install the 90-degree push-to-connect fittings on the front side of the bulkhead fittings. Tighten these using a 5/8 inch wrench, and then spin them towards the center. Lastly, we'll need to install the tab nuts into the top 3 slots in the pass-through. And just start the bolts into them. Next, we'll be installing this on the vehicle. Now that your tailgate pass-through is assembled, pull your wire harness through the cord grip, leaving about 15 inches exposed. Also leaving slack on the back for future disassembly. Snug up on the cord grip nut and make sure that your O-ring is fully seated all the way around. We previously installed the top 3 tab nuts. Make sure they are all fully retracted, angle it down, and hook up into the tailgate. While keeping pressure on with your hand, snug up one of the bolts. Now install the 3 remaining tab nuts into the bottom slots through the bottom hole. And start the bolts. Now, all you need to do is tighten each bolt till they're snug. And we do not recommend using power tools on this step. Next, we will show you how to install your ARB compressor on the bracket. To mount your compressor on the bracket, take your compressor and lay it face down. Take your bracket with the angle facing out and lay it on top of the back of the compressor. Take your 4 bolts included with your ARB compressor and screw them into the outer holes of the bracket. Tighten with a 10mm. Next, install the 8 adhesive back foam rings onto each of the bolt holes of the bracket. Note that I skipped the dowel pin holes. If you choose to utilize the Filter Relocation Kit, that kit includes 90-degree push-to-connect fittings. Those will be installed in the air inlets of the ARB compressor. If you don't choose to go with the Filter Relocation Kit, this is when we will install the filters. Tighten these with a 5/8 wrench. Take your 90-degree fitting and install it into the air outlet of the compressor on the front. And tighten with a 9/16 wrench, pointing in the direction that you want the air chuck mounted. Take your air hose and install it onto the fitting. And tighten with a 9/16 wrench. Next, we'll install it on the tailgate. Before you install the bracket on the tailgate, don't forget to reinstall the cabin pressure relief vent. Push it in until it snaps. Take the 2 included studs and loosely screw them in to the top 2 holes. Take your assembled bracket and start the harness through the bottom opening, keeping in mind the harness will lay in this gap. Hang the bracket on the 2 studs and loosely install the 2 nuts. Next, we'll be installing the air inlet hoses for the optional Filter Relocation Kit. If you're installing the Filter Relocation Kit, the last step is to install the air hoses. Take one end of the air hose and firmly press it into the quick fitting, swiveling the fittings around to install the other end. And repeat for the other side. Make sure they're pressed in fully. And next, we'll prepare the tire carrier for installation. To start assembly of your in-wheel accessory mount onto the tire carrier, first step is to remove the piece of foam insulation from the inside. Just pull it off with the 2 bolts and set it aside. Using a T30 Torx bit, remove these 2 bolts.
Now lay your in-wheel accessory mount over the lug studs, making sure you line up the 2 countersunk holes with the holes from the bolts you just removed. Take the 2 included countersunk bolts and screw them into the holes. You might have to reach below to line up the holes. And tighten them with a 4mm Allen. Now, reinstall the foam insulation. Just pressing them back onto the studs. Now we're ready to install it on the tailgate. Now that your tire carrier is assembled, you can plug in your wire harness. Remove the nuts from the assembly studs. We recommend a second set of hands to prevent the assembly from falling off the tailgate. Route your air hose through one of the holes in the tire carrier. Note that if you pointed your air hose in a different direction, you'll need to use a different hole. Making sure you don't pinch your wire harness, line up the dowel pin holes. Push it towards the tailgate. You may need to lift up a little bit to seat it all the way. And start a couple of the bolts. Now you can remove the assembly studs. Make sure your wire harness isn't pinched, and you can install the rest of the bolts. And tighten with a 13mm. Pass your wire harness back through the tailgate. And now we're ready to install the air chuck. Mounting the air chuck may take some trial and error to find the correct position to fit your wheels. The position I'm going to show you today works well with the factory Sasquatch package wheels. The air chuck mount can be installed on the accessory mount in any of the slotted holes, on the front or on the back. When you find a position you want to try, install the bolts, nuts, and washers. And tighten with a 5mm Allen and a 10mm wrench. The bulkhead fitting can be installed through the front or through the back for further adjustability in depth. It helps to install the 90-degree fitting before you install it on the mount. And tighten it fully. Install your lock washer and the nut. And tighten with a 1-inch wrench and a 1 1/8 inch socket. Next, take your air chuck and mount it on the front of the bulkhead fitting. And tighten with a 3/4 inch wrench. Last, take your air hose, bend it, and install it on the 90-degree fitting. And tighten with a 9/16 wrench. The last step is to push the grommet back into the tailgate and reconnect the two connectors. Reinstall the plastic interior panel. And that completes the install of the Tailgate kit with optional filter relocation kit. Thanks for watching.